So, you want to be an AI engineer. It is definitely the hot new job in tech, and it feels like everyone is trying to get in. But how do you actually do it? Today, we're going to break down the fastest, but still realistic, path to becoming an AI engineer by 2026. All right, let's get into it. Okay, first things first, let's just get this out of the way. I'm sure you've seen the posts online, the gurus promising you can land an AI job in like 6 months flat. Let me be super clear, that is not how this works. It's a much longer journey, but, and this is a big but, it doesn't mean you can't be smart about it and speed things up. So, here's our game plan. This is the roadmap. We're going to start by talking about what the job actually is. Then we'll walk through 5 key steps, getting the experience you need before you even start, learning the fundamentals, mastering the latest AI skills, building projects that actually get you noticed, and finally, the strategy for landing that dream job. All right, let's kick things off with a dose of reality. Before we jump into the how, we really need to understand the what and the why. What does an AI engineer actually do all day, and why is everyone and their dog trying to become one? So let's break it down. At its core, an AI engineer is really a specialized type of software engineer. And here's the key thing. They aren't the ones in a lab inventing these huge models from scratch. Nope. They take these incredible, existing models. You've heard of them. GPT, BERT, Claude, and they figure out how to weave them into actual products and apps that solve real-world problems. They integrate, they don't invent. And here's the why. Why is this role so high? Well, because this skill set is so specific and in such insane demand right now, the pay is, well, it's incredible. We're talking an average range of $200,000 to $300,000 a year at the big tech companies. It's a super attractive role with just massive potential for growth. Okay, on to our first big step. And I'm calling this the non-negotiable prerequisite because that's exactly what it is. You have to get real-world experience. So this is probably the most important thing to understand. You cannot, I repeat, cannot become an AI engineer with zero work experience. It's just not an entry-level gig. The job requires you to be good at data, AI, and software engineering. And that's just something you can't really get from a course. You need to learn it on the job. So what does that mean? It means your first goal is to become either a software engineer or a data scientist. Now, you can do either, but the highly recommended path is to become a software engineer first. It just lines up so much better with what an AI engineer does every day. I mean, even Greg Brockman, the CTO of OpenAI, says it's way easier for a software engineer to learn AI skills than it is for an AI expert to learn how to be a good software engineer. So while you're working in that first role, you need to be laser focused on mastering these skills. We're talking solid production level Python. The entire AI world runs on it. You need SQL because AI is all about data. You have to get good with developer tools like Git and know how to work with APIs. You'll need to understand system design so you can build things that scale in the cloud. And you've got to know how to deploy your work using tools like Docker and Kubernetes. And to get you started on these fundamentals, there are some amazing free resources out there. The W3 School's Python tutorial is a perfect place to start. And honestly, for a great all-around computer science education, you really can't do better than Harvard's CS50 course. It's free, and it covers pretty much everything you need to know. So, let's talk timeline for this first phase. If you already have a STEM background and you really go for it, you could probably land a software engineering job in about 6 months. Then, and this is key, you need to plan on spending at least 1 to 2 years in that role, soaking up experience and leveling up your skills. This is, without a doubt, the longest and most important part of the entire journey. Okay, so you're in your first job, you're getting that real-world experience. Now it's time for step 2, learning the fundamental theory. This is all about building a foundation of knowledge that's timeless, stuff that will be useful no matter how the tech changes. Now look, you don't need to be a math genius with a PhD, but you do need to be comfortable with the basics. That means some stats, probability, linear algebra, and calculus. You need to know the classic machine learning algorithms, both supervised and unsupervised. And you absolutely need a good gut feeling for how neural networks work. Things like backpropagation and activation functions will save you when you're trying to figure out why your model isn't working. And of course, you need to learn the basics of what makes large language models tick, like transformers, tokenization, and embeddings. And to learn all this stuff, I've got 3 killer resources for you. For the Mathletics for Machine Learning textbook is pretty much the only one you'll need. For machine learning itself, the Hands-on ML book is probably the best single book on the subject, period. And for neural networks, you have to check out Andrej Karpathy's Zero to Hero course on YouTube. It's free, and the man literally builds a GPT from scratch. It's incredible. Now, this knowledge is going to stick with you forever, so please don't rush through it. If you can set aside maybe an hour a day during the week and a couple hours on the weekend, you can get a really solid grasp of these concepts in about 3 to 6 months. Consistency is everything here. Once you've got that solid foundation, we can move on to step 3, which is mastering the practical, modern tools and skills that you're going to be using every single day as an AI engineer. This field moves so fast, but these are the skills that have really proven their worth. You've got to know how to use AI APIs, you need to get good at prompt engineering to coax the right answers out of these models, and you need to understand RAG. That's a fancy acronym, but all it really means is connecting a model to external, up-to-date info so it doesn't give you garbage answers. You'll also want to learn LangChain for building AI apps in Python and understand how to fine-tune models to make them great at one specific thing. Now, because things change so fast, it's tough to find one course that has everything. But these 2 books are pure gold. Jay Alamr's book on LLMs is written by the guy who wrote the legendary blog post explaining transformers. And Chip Hoyen's Designing Machine Learning Systems is basically considered the Bible of AI engineering. Seriously, ask anyone in the field, they'll tell you to read this book. The good news is this step can be a little bit quicker than the last one. A lot of these topics are less about deep, complex math and more about just getting your hands dirty and becoming familiar with the tools. If you stick with that 1 hour a day schedule, you could get pretty darn good at this stuff in just 2 or 3 months. All right, you've got the job experience, you've got the knowledge. Now comes the most important part, step 4. You have to build real projects to prove to the world that you can actually do this stuff. Now, I really want you to listen to this. Any project you find on a list of top 10 projects for AI engineers, or anything someone like me recommends, is a bad project for you. Why? Because the absolute best projects are personal. They solve a problem that you actually have, a problem you're genuinely curious about. That's what gives you a compelling story to tell in an interview. So the formula for a project that actually stands out is pretty simple. It's 4 steps. First, find an idea that you actually care about. Second, find new, messy, real-world data. Stay away from those perfectly clean datasets on Kaggle. Third, you have to deploy the project from end to end. Show that you can build a complete solution. And finally, number 4, you have to document and share everything you did. Write a blog post, post on LinkedIn, make a great GitHub page. If you build something cool and don't tell anyone, it's like it never even happened. And that brings us to the finish line. Step 5, actually landing the job. Let's talk about the 80-20 rule here, the handful of things you can do that will give you most of your results. It all starts with your resume, and this lays it out perfectly. Put your technical skills right at the very top where a recruiter can't miss them. When you talk about your projects, use numbers. Talk about the impact. How did you save time or money? Keep the format super simple. 1 column, 1 page. And please list your title as software engineer, not aspiring engineer. The bar for resumes is shockingly low, so if you just nail these basics, you're already way ahead of the curve. Next up, your LinkedIn profile. You need to make it scream, I'm targeting AI engineer roles. That means the title has to be in your headline. Sprinkle those important keywords all through your profile so recruiters can actually find you. And don't sleep on the little things. A professional-looking photo and a clean banner make a huge difference. You want recruiters coming to you. Okay, now for the ultimate cheat code. Look at this number. Getting a referral from someone inside a company increases your chance of getting an interview and an offer by 6 times. 6! That is absolutely insane. There's no course you can take or project you can build that gives you that kind of an advantage. It's a golden ticket. So how do you get one? It's not some big mystery. It's just about being a person. Find companies you like, then find people there who have a similar background to you. Send them a personalized connection request, but do not ask for a referral right away. That's the key. First, just chat with them, ask about their job, build a little rapport. Then, once you've made a real connection, you can politely ask. It works way better than you'd think. So, let's put this all together. When you zoom out, you can see the whole journey takes shape over about 2 years. You've got about 6 months to land that first software engineering job. Then you'll spend a year working in that role while you learn all the AI and ML stuff on the side. And finally, you'll spend the last 6 months building your portfolio and going hard on the job applications. All told, it's about a 2-year process. It's a marathon for sure, not a sprint. And that's it. That's the roadmap. It's definitely a lot of work, but it's a clear, proven path to landing a high-paying, future-proof job. But it does leave us with one final big question to think about. This is the roadmap for 2026. In a field that is changing by the minute, what skills are going to be on the roadmap for 2028? Something to keep in mind.